Back with my bestie Nikki. Nikki, how are you?
I am so happy right now.
Have you ever interviewed a baby before? Because you're about to get to.
No, and I'm obsessed. I'm actually obsessed.
Well, we have Tim Paulson with us and Wes Paulson, who's going to be the star of the
What's up,
show,
guys?
no doubt.
He will be on the show until he decides that he's off the show. So
Which is
we'll
my
see how long
favorite
this
thing
lasts.
ever. Because toddlers be like that. They just are.
He's two in like 2 weeks, and he is most definitely a toddler. So
Oh, hi, Wes.
can you say hi to everybody?
Buddy.
Hey Wes, we're recording, so you want to wave to everyone?
Hello.
This is the best age for them because they get all those crazy moments, but when they go to sleep, they are out. It's great.
Oh yeah. No, he's I wouldn't say he's out when he sleeps. He's doing this super fun thing where he gets up between like 2 and 4 o'clock every day and just like wants to hang out with one of us and party a little bit. So
Yeah, he's ready to go.
oh yeah. No, we moved him into a toddler bed right after the games because he crawled out of his crib the day before we left for Madison. So we had like a super fun experience at the games that we can obviously talk more about where we were trying to transition into a toddler bed while we were at the games, and then we got home and we were trying to move him out. So it was like, and we've been working through that transition for the last month and change. So yeah, it's been fun. Okay, Wesley, if you touch the keyboard, you're gonna have to get off the interview. You understand? So
He's like, listen, that is legit threat, Dad. Who's on his PJs? What's on his PJs?
Oh, who's on your PJs? Can you tell
Who's
them?
on your PJs, Wes?
Is it? Who's this? Is that Cruz and Jackson Storm and Lightning McQueen?
Is that Lightning McQueen?
Did Mommy get you these today, and are you super excited about them?
I'm
that
a big
Cars?
fan.
He is
Big
cars. He is
Cars
cars
fan.
obsessed.
Cars obsessed. I only know that because I'm obsessed with your wife's Instagram.
Oh,
I need to know what's happening in the Chronicles of Love.
Cars is his go-to right now. So yeah, we're verging on buying him a Lightning McQueen bed to see if
I
it'll
was
make him
gonna
sleep better.
ask that. My best friend is a 4-year-old who's also Cars obsessed, and she was thinking about doing the bed. The race car bed is like a rite of passage for a young man, I feel like.
Oh yeah, 100%. So he's definitely working his way towards it. Wesley, if you touch the keyboard, we're all done. Do you understand?
Wes, do you want to golf?
Do you want to go golf with Mommy?
Can we go golfing?
Because you're trying to turn off the camera. So we're going to go ahead and wave goodbye to everybody. And we're going to enjoy the toddler meltdown when you leave because it's going to be fun and every parent knows about it.
You are in good company, my friend. Every single parent knows about it.
I know. I love you, buddy. Well, you're going to go with Mommy for a little bit, okay?
Yay! Bye,
You
Wes.
can come back and say hi later, okay?
We're going to go play golf.
Yeah,
We're gonna
we'll
run
come back
around.
and say hi. All right, bye-bye.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough.
It's tough.
It's hard.
Technology.
Listen,
Such a cutie, though.
I don't know about you, but I follow a whole bunch of like early childhood development, like Instagram accounts or whatever. And it's so interesting reading all the things about like toddlers and how they just have like giant emotions and meltdowns because they're like not developmentally ready to understand how to handle their thoughts or feelings, or they can't properly communicate them to you. And that frustrates them more. And all they know how to do is cry. It's like, it's so interesting to realize all the big things happening in their really small bodies and brains. And I don't know. I just feel like we're equipped with so much more of an understanding take on all that stuff than even our parents were with us. It's wild.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, like I talk to my parents all the time, like, they're like talking about leaps, like that they've just, like they, like all like, kids go through leaps and they go through these like various sleep regressions. Granted, I feel like kids are sleep regressions. I don't think there's sleep regressions. I think it is a gigantic sleep regression until they decide they're done. But yeah, I mean, it's like the stuff they have about like how kids' brains develop, what things they're doing at certain times, like it's bananas. And like, I'll talk to my parents about it and they're like, what?
Yeah, same. My mom's like, wait, no, you're just a kid. And I'm like, no. At this stage, he's got this going on. And you're not allowed to tell him to like go to timeout. You have to de-escalate him with your own feelings. And there's like all this just like, and every generation is going to have its own thing. Like our kids someday when they have kids are going to be like, oh, you did what? That's crazy. But I do feel like in general, like the level of learning or understanding has increased generation over generation. And so that's pretty cool to see.
Yeah, no, it makes it a little easier and also very much not at times because I feel like they're like, oh no, this is what your kid's brain is doing. I'm like, no, it's not. I'm convinced that it's just melting, and we're trying to figure out what the hell to do with it.
Okay, so let me ask you a question along those lines. I was just having this conversation with my mom today, and if Mark is watching or when he listens to this later, he's my internet friend who's also a pediatrician, and I like bug him with questions all the time. He's gonna be like, "We already talked about this, Nikki," but I'm telling you, doctors will say, and the pediatricians will say that like kids don't really spike fevers when they're teething. Like their body temperature may go up, but they're not going to be like fever. But then like every other parent I know, and my mom included, was like, "Oh yeah, my kid spikes wicked high fevers when they're teething." And the pediatricians will be like, "Well, that's something else. Like kids also get colds and viruses every 5 minutes. So they're teething, but also they probably have a virus." And I'm like, "I don't know, because sometimes he'll just like randomly spike a really high fever for like one night for no reason. And the next day there's a tooth." So I'm just saying.
Cause and effect.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely, like, he's ripped some pretty bad fever. I mean, granted, again, daycare viruses are every other week,
Everywhere.
it seems like. But I mean, yeah, he's definitely like, he's got 2 trends when he is teething, and luckily he seems to be getting the last of his 2-year molars out of the way. So hopefully we're all done with teething for a little bit. But yeah, he gets like a raging diaper rash, and will like usually in like the 2 to 3 days after he cuts one, and then yeah, he'll spike a fever for sure. But I mean, he kind of like when he's teething, I mean, you know, he's on Motrin half the time anyway. So it's like,
same.
yeah. So I mean, to try and keep the fever down. But yeah, he spiked a really bad fever at the game. So actually the Friday of the games, Caitlin was at urgent care with him like all day because he spiked a wicked fever Thursday night. So like she was at urgent care for like 5 hours during the games Friday. Yeah, so it was like the whole game week. Caitlin deserves a medal for the week of the CrossFit Games. I mean, she always has, but like this year especially, like it was a legitimate dumpster fire with just this, like what Wes was going through. Again, like he climbed out of the crib Thursday night before we left for the games, did it the most athletic way possible. Like I was so proud. Like, because I was messing around with him. Like we've got gym equipment in the basement, so I was like, we were doing D-balls over a bench and then climb over it. So I was like, oh, we're going to the games. Like we're probably going to do something like that. So I was just messing with him, and he did it like a bunch of times. And literally that night, after I taught him how to climb over objects, he literally just looks up at the side of his crib, pulls up, leg over, drops down, dead hang here, lands on his feet, and he's like knocking on the door, like, "I'm done." And I was like, "Oh, I've created a monster."
Oh my God.
Yeah, that was Thursday night. We left for the games, I think first thing Saturday morning. So basically while we were at the games, we're like, well, we can't put him in his pack and play because he's going to topple it, because it's like, you know, it's half the height of his crib. So the whole week of the games, we're like, we brought a mattress up from the basement of the house we were staying in, put it in our room, tried to get him to sleep in that. Like it was a whole adventure. Basically, he and Caitlin did not really sleep the week of the games. And obviously she's always a saint, but like that week, especially, like anytime he made a noise, she just would like sleep with him in the living room because she wanted me to be able to get some sleep so that I could not be any more of a mess than I was already going to be for the week of the competition. So it was a dumpster fire.
I remember texting back and forth with her that week, and she did not tell me all that. I do remember her talking about how like Wes's sleep was just like kind of a nightmare. And I remember being like, well, that's extra hard because you know this week you're committed to letting Tim do Tim. And she was like, exactly, like it just is what it is. But I did not realize it was that intensive. And that is
it was a whole thing. So yeah, the bad sleep, the spike the fever Thursday, urgent care Friday, was like at home pinned to her on the couch all day Friday, and then by Saturday morning it was completely fine, of course, because that's what
toddlers
24 hours and they're like, I'm good, and then you get it 3 days later and you die. So yeah, after the game, both Caitlin and I got quite sick, partially because obviously I always get sick after I compete, just because, you know, nervous system just kind of shuts down and it's like, I'm out of here. But yeah, so compile that with he gave me whatever he had. My dad had something for like 2 weeks. Yeah, it was the whole house basically went downhill because my parents and Kate's parents stayed with us while we were at the game. So yeah, it was a whole thing.
Tim, no matter what, like no matter who's taking care of your kid or how big your support team is or whatever, when you've got that kind of stuff going on with your son, it affects you. Like there's no way you could have been like, oh yeah, honey, you go do whatever with him. Go sleep in the living room. I'm going to sleep great here by myself. Like, no, you're not, no matter what.
I mean, yeah, she didn't even on Friday when she took him to urgent care. She didn't text me until we were on. I think no, maybe it was Thursday because it was I think it was the day of the rain delay. I don't know. The days all blend together. It was Thursday or Friday, but yeah, she texted me at like 12 o'clock after the first event for the day, and she's like, "Hey, like seriously, everything's fine. I'm at urgent care with Wes." And I was like, luckily we had a big window of downtime because obviously I was like stressed out. So I'm like, well, if you took him to urgent care, you're obviously concerned enough that you're not just going to give him some Motrin and hang out at the house with him. Like something's concerning you.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was like, all right, you need to send me photos, videos. So like she sent me a bunch of videos of him like happy as hell in the doctor's office. He's like watching Bluey on a tablet, like giggling away. So I'm like, all right, at least he's like mostly himself and just a little, under the weather or whatever. So yeah, it was stressful, but I mean, obviously, I also, obviously love and trust my wife fully. So I was like, look, I'm going to try not to think about it because I know you've got him. Like, I mean, he couldn't be in better hands, obviously. So like, it's the best case scenario. And I'm still here to do a job. So
yeah,
like I have to try and block it out as best I can. And just, knowing that he was going to be fine. I'm not Caitlin is the worrier in our parental relationship. And I'm generally not I'm not a worry type person. I'm very much like I'll ride the even to slightly positive outcome until I have a reason to believe in a negative outcome. Whereas she'll stress snowball to a couple different eventualities on like Google MD or something like that. So it's like we operate on two different frequencies that way. So luckily I could handle it. Like I was okay. Because again, I'm like, all right, like he's fine. I know he's fine. Whereas, she was
listen, let me tell you something about how anxiety works. When you have anxiety and you're a parent, mom specifically, you gotta pre-worry about every possible scenario. Because then when it comes, you've been like, oh, okay, I worried about this already. So I know how to handle it because I have already been concerned that it's going to go in that direction or end up over there or someone else is going to whatever. Yeah, that's how it works.
Yeah. That definitely checks. Yeah, Caitlin definitely deals with anxiety. So yeah, she definitely that checks the boxes of how our household functions.
Same. Matt is the you in our house too. Thank God.
Good news for you both. That never changes ever.
Oh,
you're gonna have anxiety and worries through every stage. So congratulations.
It just changes.
Yeah, just different worries the whole way. Are you guys taking him down to Rogue? You're going to Rogue, right?
Yeah, today it was official. It was allowed to be public. So that was thank you. I'm super excited. I mean, biggest off-season competition in my mind, like most competitive, strongest field. I mean, it's everything you could ask for. So I'm really excited about it, but they're not going to come with me because we planned our like family vacation. We're basic people. So every fall we go to the mountains and we go hiking with all the pretty leaves. And like, so we're going up to the Adirondacks. Yeah, we're going up to the Adirondacks in upstate New York, like it's like a week and a half before Rogue. We get back a week and a half before Rogue. So she already took off work for like a week. So we're going up there. We'll be up there for 7 days. So it's just too much to try and get her, kind of her out of work more and stuff like that. So my dad's going to come, of course, because that's what my dad does. My mom might come, but my grandmother has some surgery, like her mother has some surgeries and stuff. So I don't know if she's going to make the trip out, but yeah, my dad will definitely be there. My coach is going to come. So I'll have a nice little support network. Not my unit, but I know they'll be there in spirit.
I wasn't planning on going, but now I know your dad's going to be there. I feel like I should go down there and work out with him a little bit.
Same.
I mean, hey, come on down. I've never been, but I've heard. I mean, we have some friends that lived in Austin for a little while. Like everyone seems to absolutely love the city. Like seems like a really cool place.
So fun.
Yeah, a lot of music, a lot of food, a lot of good stuff to do. So I mean, yeah, seems like an awesome environment. And like talking to some guys that have done Rogue in the past, they have really high marks for it. Like as far as just athlete environment, it's like a little bit laid back, but obviously still like very serious. Just because the field's so small, it can be a little bit more intimate, a little bit more chill. There's not a lot of community divisions going on, stuff like that. So it's basically just kind of the elite athlete and strongman show, which is sweet.
For sure. I also feel like the programming sort of like lends itself to, I'm excited to see what you can do with it, put it that way. Because I don't necessarily think programming ever lends itself to one athlete or another, but like that type of a window, that type of programming, those implements that Rogue kind of like throws at, like feel like you are a very strong candidate in that type of an environment.
Yeah, I'm very excited. I mean, yeah, if I'd be lying if I wasn't, if I didn't say that I was excited. Like, they usually have a lot of strongman stuff. I love strongman. Like, I just think the implements are fun. I happen to be pretty good at most of them as well, so that helps. But like, I just think sandbags are awesome, yokes, like all that. So, and like looking at their programming from the past, like there's definitely, it's more of like a strongman semifinal, I guess I would kind of say. Like it's not like the games where you're going to do a 50 to 75-minute workout. Like, you're not going to do some of those longer tests. So, which again, it's like, it's a unique twist on it. It's what they do. It's kind of what they're born in. So I'm pretty excited to see kind of what they throw at us. And
do you enjoy watching Strongman as a fan? Like, will you go there and get geeked out over, Rob Kearney and some of these awesome athletes coming out to do Strongman?
Oh, for sure. I mean, like there's something about gigantic men doing and like lifting gigantic things that's like, how can you not, like, if I was alive like 1,500 years ago, I'm like, that's probably what I would have done with my life. Like, I would have been like, I want to be the biggest guy in town and pick up heavy shit just because it's fun.
I love it.
I feel like there's like that, like very, I don't know, kind of like, and I say this in a very nice way, that like there's a Neanderthal aspect to like strongman it's primal. Like it's awesome. Like there's something like the sandbag clean event at the games. Like it was the broiest, most fun lifting event I've ever done in my life. Just like you and all your closest buddies just slinging meat on a Saturday night in the Coliseum. Like, couldn't be more fun. What more could you ask for?
I love it. I feel like there's even something primal in watching it, where I'm like, I only want to scream as loud as I can scream when I see you pick up the heavy thing off the ground. It's amazing. I love it.
No, it's awesome.
It's always interesting, like watching CrossFitters, because all you guys have different techniques and things implement you're good at. Like, you got known at the games for going full send on that bike, right? Like, that's your thing now.
So good.
But I watch these strong men, and it isn't about, I realize there's techniques, so nobody DM me and blow me up, right? But you look at them, and to your point, they're just huge dudes. You moving huge weight, and you can't move that huge weight unless you're a huge dude. You just can't do it.
Oh yeah.
It's amazing to watch. It's so much fun.
Oh yeah. And like, I mean, also it's rare in life. Like, I've always been the big kid, always. Like, I was like 6 feet tall by the time I was in high school. Like, freshman year of high school, I was 6 feet tall. I was well over 200 pounds. Like, I was always the big guy. Like, really? I stood out in a room. Oh yeah. Like you couldn't miss me at any point in my life. I had red hair until I was like 20. Like, I was always huge. Like, so I stood out in a room like a sore thumb for a number of reasons.
Wait, I'm sorry. What do you mean you had red hair?
I had redder hair.
Oh wow.
Redder than now?
Oh yeah. I'll have to. I'll find some photos and I'll toss them on my Instagram. Like, I had like shoulder length auburn hair in high school, and when I was until I was like 8 or 9, I had Wes's hair. Like, I had that red, like very bright.
Yes,
so
I understand. It tones a little bit as you get older. The same thing happened to my husband. That makes sense.
Exactly.
Wait, yeah. So before, I know that you couldn't miss you to a certain point, but did you get made fun of for being a redhead when you were like young? Yeah. So Matt did too, and that blows my mind because I feel like now it's cool. Like Ed Sheeran made it cool.
Yes, thank you,
Ed. Hold on, whoa, wait, no. Axl Rose made it cool. Let's get this.
Because Tim still got made fun of. I'm just saying.
Guns N' Roses, Megadeth both had redheads in the band. Come on.
I don't know, but he said that to me the other day, where he was like, "You realize, like, I got shit on for being a redhead when I was actually young," and I was like, "Wait a minute, for real? Like that's not a joke? Like, that actually happened? You too?"
Oh no, I was definitely. I mean, like, I wouldn't say I was bullied, because I was always like, yes, I was bullied, but it was because I stood out like a sore thumb, red hair, huge. Like, I was an easy target when I was like a younger kid, just because, again, it's like you stand out in basically every way humanly possible. And I mean, luckily, quote unquote, like, I was always bigger, so it like was never like physical bullying. It was more like, it was like the teasing, the picking, stuff like that. I got in my fair share of fights. But it's like, yeah, there was definitely some bullying when I was a kid around not just being a redhead, but like, I mean, also kids are just.
Who would be big enough to pick a fight with you? Come on.
There were not many people that were that stupid.
No,
to be fair, that's why I said it rarely resorted to physicality, because it was kind of hard to pick a fight with the kid that was 30% bigger than everybody else.
Right. That would be dumb. But kids are dumb, so I wouldn't put it past anyone, truly. Anyway, so you were always the big guy is where you were going with all that.
Yeah, and that's like, so it's funny to me, like being in a room, like, like Rob, or no, was it Rob at the games? Was Rob Kearney? Was he the guy, the strong man?
There?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
he wasn't the one that was helping you guys out. That guy
Brian,
was. I interviewed him on the stream, and I'm already blanking on his name. But yes, there was a strongman professional who was like back there being like, "This is a sandbag. This is how you do it."
Who's Brian? Oh man, I can't remember his name. But anyway,
Jason something.
Maybe we're gonna have to Google now.
We'll Google it.
But yeah, it was just like, so when I'm like being near those guys, you're like, holy crap. So it's funny. It's a funny experience for me to feel like not the biggest guy in the room. So like I kind of like being like seeing the strongmen and like just seeing how big they are. I'm like, oh, nice. I'm actually like the small guy now.
Oh, for sure.
The
Oh my
women
God,
who do
yeah.
strongman are huge, and I mean that with the most respect possible. Like when I was at Rogue, I saw 2 men and women who were all there, you know, obviously competitors, and they were at the stand getting food, and they're ordering hot dogs and ice cream right in the middle of the competition. I'm like, I love you guys so much. Like, this is so good. But they were all, you know, half a foot taller than me and outweighed me by 100 pounds.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, it was so cool. So cool. Well, that'll be a fun competition for you, man. Maybe they'll give you like a strongman implement and the Echo bike, like back to back. That'd be great.
That's all I'm asking for. Let's get some sandbag cleans and an Echo bike, and let's just go really fast and see who wants to die a little bit.
I was scared for you, bro. I was legit scared for you at the games. And I'm not saying that as a joke. Like, I was in the stands watching, and you got to the end of that event, and you did your full send thing, and I'm going, dear God, he might have a heart attack. I might watch a games athlete die here in person because I knew you wouldn't stop. I knew it. And I was right. And thank God you survived.
Dude, that moment was like, it's easily top 3 of my like competition career as far as like just environment, you know, like being in the Coliseum is always super cool, you know, and like it's not rare, but I mean, it's rare enough in sport where you get to showcase something that you're really good at, like in a kind of spectacle sense, I guess. Yeah. So it's like, you know, when I got to the bike, like I knew like this is an implement we've trained on. We train workouts all the time where the machine's at the end. So you got to sell your soul to finish strong. Like we do that very often. It's a staple of our training. So like I knew I had it in me. So like to get the opportunity to do it and to do it in front of the Coliseum on a what was it, Saturday night? No, Friday night?
It was one of those. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it was Friday night. So it was super cool. And like, yeah, I mean, the second I kind of got on the bike, like gave it a couple seconds. And like, once people kind of realized what was happening, like the sound in the Coliseum, I was like, this is it.
Oh,
like,
electric. Totally.
Oh yeah. I was like, there's no stopping now. Like you got to finish what you started, give the people what they want. I was going to do it anyway. Yeah. But yeah, no, I just remember like my judges, like I opened my eyes after probably like, it felt like 30 seconds, but it was probably like 7. And I like opened my eyes and I'm looking at the monitor. I'm like, okay, just kind of dig in a little bit more. My judge's hand went up and the place just went bananas. And I was like, oh, it was just such a cool moment to like get the Coliseum behind you and kind of like, you know, be able to showcase something you're good at. So it was pretty awesome.
You had the hair going side to side too. Is that part of the movement or were you just being extra? Which one?
Oh, extra, 100%. Yeah, it was that was fully surrendering my well-being to the universe of like wanting to just get this done. So I mean, yeah, some of the photos from that event are hilarious. There was one, I think CrossFit sent me one. It's like I am fully slack jowled, my eyes have gone white, like my hair is kind of blown off to the side. I was like, aww. That is a close-up of the darkest pieces of fitness. And it was amazing.
How far was the bike from the finish line? I don't remember. It was real close, but
it was right there.
How far?
It was close enough that I literally stumbled off the bike and just threw a leg over the finish line, and I was there.
Well, I was going to ask, were you worried that you wouldn't be able to get over the finish line going that hard? Because that happens, like on a bike.
Oh, like, just adrenaline was so high. I felt like I could have run through a brick wall. Like, I mean, it was. I mean, yeah, So to be fair, when I do those workouts in training, I absolutely fall off the bike and don't move for 20 minutes. Like it's not a normal thing to kind of bounce up and be like, oh, that was awesome. But like my adrenaline was so high from the crowd there. Like I crossed the finish line and I was very surprised. I was like, all right, you got to get up and like high five some people. And I got up and I was like, I'm okay, actually. Like this is all right. And then the second we got off the Coliseum floor, it was like,
like I am not just all right.
Like, the adrenaline dump crashed and it was like, oh, I'm not okay. Ew. So it just hit a little later than it normally did.
Pretty cool.
Awesome. Yeah.
I loved it. So it's been a little bit now. I've had a few weeks. What has the last like couple months been like? Like did you take a break? Are you back to training now? What was the flow like for you?
I definitely took more time off than I normally do, and I frankly would have taken more if the road qualifier wasn't happening.
Mm,
So like for me, I usually, as I've gotten older and wiser, I've kind of actually started to appreciate like taking some time for my body after the games. Like 2017, 18, 19, like I was back in the gym. I mean, like 3-4 days afterwards, and I was like, all right, let's go throttle down next year. Just because, again, it's like I was kind of young, dumb, and like didn't really believe that anybody took time off. I was like, no, everyone's lying. They just want you to think they're taking time off so that they can get further ahead of you. Like it was kind of that mindset of like, like I'm young, I'm here now, and I want to continue to get better. And I didn't really appreciate the fact that like it's okay to take some time for your body and your mind, and your fitness isn't going to completely just die. Like it's
right.
really okay. So I'd say for about 2.5 weeks, I did nothing but stretch, catch up on business at the gym and golf. So that was pretty great. And then
Golf is just bro code for day drinking, truly, right?
basically, yeah.
Okay.
So I think right around like the 2-week mark, 2.5 weeks, Rogue announced their qualifier dates. And that was definitely on my list of like, okay, like I've always wanted to do Rogue. I've missed qualifying narrowly. I missed an invite by a couple spots one year, so I've kind of been like close but no cigar on that competition every year, and like I really wanted to get it on my calendar and get it done this year. So I would say I didn't start training, but I did start exercising. Like I jumped into classes at my gym, and I was like, okay, you have to do something. Like you can't just show up and hope to qualify for Rogue. Like you need to move your body a little bit. So I started doing classes for like a week, and then basically like jumped into the qualifier. And I'd say after that, I took like another week off just because like I did the qualifier under very non-ideal circumstances. Like Kate's grandmother passed away while we were at the games. So add that to the shit show of what was kind of our family, kind of the family dynamic for the games. So she lost her grandmother, and her funeral was the weekend of the qualifier for Rogue. So it was kind of like, we had a 5-hour trip each way back home. So I was like squeezing in qualifiers, at 7:00 at night after the funeral services, on doing 2 workouts on Friday morning before we left town, doing one Sunday morning at like ass crack of dawn, doing another one Sunday when we got back from like a 5-hour car trip. And like, so it was a very non-ideal like kind of circumstance for me, but that was kind of obviously the commitment that I made to Caitlin. Like, obviously like family's going to come first. That's, kind of especially since we had Wes, like that's like family comes before CrossFit, and that's if the results are going to be what they're going to be. So, luckily, I mean, I was able to pull it off. And again, she was obviously incredibly supportive. Like we finished the funeral services Saturday at like 4:30, and I was like, can I drive to my parents' house and go do this workout now? And so I went over there and did a workout, and yeah, so it was a bit of a mess of a weekend. So I took another week off after that, just because again, it was a very physically and emotionally draining weekend for everybody. So just kind of give my body some more time. And then I started training, I guess, basically, I mean, this week, essentially like Monday of this week was when I was like, all right, let's start to really kind of dig in a little bit, start to get some volume back under our feet so we can have like a solid, 5 to 6 weeks to kind of get ready for Rogue. So yeah, so I mean, but I happily would have, just done classes at my gym for another couple of weeks. Like honestly, I probably would have done just like a, drop Wes at daycare, jumped into the 8:15 class and done that, frankly, through like the end of October, maybe. Like I would have taken a solid couple of weeks of just 1 hour a day, enjoy it, kind of find some actual balance in my life. But all that being said, obviously I'm stoked to qualify for Rogue, so I'm very happy to kind of ramp it back up now. And there will be another off season after Rogue for sure, an actual like nice off season.
Yeah, I wonder what's gonna happen when you're at Rogue. Like, is a meteor gonna hit your house while you're gone? Or like, I mean, truly at this point.
Yeah.
I wonder.
I mean, yeah, luckily that like the games was the most stressful week as a family that we've had in my like since Wes was born, as far as like my competitions go. Again, obviously the brunt of parenting always falls on Caitlin those weeks. Like I just get to do the fun part. Like I just get to play with him and just kind of like be fun dad. And then when I need time to, do whatever I need to do to be prepared, things like that, she obviously takes full control. So the weeks are very stressful for her always. But like that, the games were the first one where it was like shit was kind of going down, and it was like extra dialed up and like really tough. Like I did Wadapalooza last year. That was pretty harmless. Again, like just stressful being the only parent at home with a kid, obviously, like, as stressful as that is baseline, but like there were no external things that were kind of adding to that. So hopefully we can get through Rogue with a relatively smooth ride.
You know, it's so funny. We have like the total opposite roles at games where like I get to be the fun parent. I mean, obviously it's a little bit different because I'm still breastfeeding, so it's like a pain in the ass and I actually have to do most of the feeding, but I get to be like the fun one where like I'm working and Matt is like dad of the year and like has to deal with all that and is giving bottles if I'm not around and like all that stuff, and then I like get back usually after bedtime, maybe do a dream feed or something, and then I'm like, well, thanks for all your hard work today.
I'm gonna go to sleep now.
Yeah.
It's nice when the roles switch up a little bit for mom.
Little bit. Yeah.
I'm the fun parent now where my kid's about to turn 21, so we're going to have drinks together. It's going to be great.
Why?
That's holy crap. I can't imagine Wes is going to be 21 one day. That just like blows.
It happens in like 2 months. 2 months from now. It's because I'm telling you, 2 years old feels like yesterday.
Yeah,
it really
wild, John.
It is wild.
I can't picture him with teeth, let alone like
a drink in his hand.
Yeah, like that's crazy. And Matt said it the other day, which was like I almost burst into tears. He was like, he's gonna be taller than you someday. Isn't that crazy? Like the way you're like holding him now, but then he's gonna like hold you because he's gonna be taller than you. I was like, don't say this, my baby.
Don't do it. Oh man, no. The photos of Wes, because like Wes he wasn't a big baby by any, like he was born like I think it was about 2 weeks before his due date, because like Kate had some hypertension. There was like a whole slew of things kind of that went on with the pregnancy. So he was born like 2 weeks early, not small. Like he wasn't like by any means premature. Like he was like, I don't know, just shy of 7 pounds, like decent length. Like he wasn't a small baby by any stretch, but like, man, the first couple of days, like seeing photos of like him just like basically like literally
the size of a burrito. He's a burrito.
Oh, yeah. Oh yeah, just like holding a burrito on my chest, and it's like crazy now. Like I'm holding like a 35-pound squirming sack of potatoes. Like whenever he wants to be held down, it's like I'm still gonna cherish it, but damn, it's exhausting to hold you now. It is very tiring to hold you.
It seems like the bulk of this season was a real roller coaster for you, Tim.
Yeah.
For the competition, and then obviously like all this, family stuff at the games. When you're looking back on the season and your games experience, like what are you taking away from it this year?
I mean, it's definitely it definitely gets harder every year, like as Wes gets a little bit bigger and like, the kind of, I mean, just like wanting to be kind of like around him more, like just like wanting to be as present as humanly possible, like through everything, like, leaving for competition sucks, like going to train on the weekends. Like I still love training, but like, being away from him is tough. So it's like, there's a lot to take away as far as like, I feel like I stuck to my guns as far as like my values and kind of the commitment that I made to Caitlin and myself of like, and honestly, if anything, like I'm probably most proud of this game's performance than anyone before it, just because
really?
It wasn't my best finish. Like I was proud of it. Like I executed, pretty well on the whole. There was mistakes, of course, like everyone makes mistakes, and, very few people have a flawless weekend, but like, I feel like my leaderboard placement was an accurate reflection of my fitness. And it was an accurate reflection of, how my dedication and how my days split lined up, things like that. It was like, again, I wasn't, if I didn't get my training done and enough time to get all the other work done that I have to, like I'm still, pretty present at our gym, do a lot of things for that. So it's like, Wes is only at daycare for like 7 hours. So it's like, there's just not a lot of time. And like, I was committed, like, okay, I'm not like Sundays are no longer a training day. Like Sunday mornings are for aerobic stuff. Like I'll take a quick 60 to 90 minutes, get in with the fitness that I need to, but I don't want to miss out on family time as much as I can avoid it. So just like, I made a bunch of changes and commitments this year to continue to like, hopefully put family first as much as humanly possible. Like obviously outside of like having to travel for competitions and like, be selfish around those times. And obviously there were periods where more selfishness was required, like last chance qualifier, like certain training blocks, things like that. But, it was just like on the whole sticking to, family was first, and like being a dad, being a dad and being the husband that I want to be for Caitlin and for Wes. Like that's the most important thing to me, because I'm not going to compete forever, but like I'm going to be Wes's dad forever. And like, that's way more important to me. So, I think if anything, I guess the year was like a pretty fulfilling one as far as like kind of how I felt personally, and the fact that I was able to have the performance that I did, like kind of training the way that I did, and like, you know, again, just not having it be the be all end all of every single day. Like, it was obviously, you know, training is a huge piece of my day still. Like, I still train for, you know, 3 hours plus or minus depending on the time of year. So it's like, it's still a massive component of my day. But you know, it's not the shining jewel of like, you know, if I don't make CrossFit games, I'm probably going to be on, you know, I'm going to be on a mental watch for a couple of weeks afterwards. You know, it never felt like that kind of stress that I've put on myself in years past. And like, that was kind of refreshing and a little bit rejuvenating in a lot of ways. I'm excited to carry it into one more year.
Yes, one more year. I love
Only
the mental shift that you're talking about is almost greater to me than the physical one. Like, yes, of course, like blocking off your time and physically being present and saying like, okay, well, I trained today when I could, but now I have to go be with my family. Like, the physical where you are in time and space is a huge change and a big commitment, of course. But the mental shift that comes with like, okay, I'm not going to be down on myself if this workout doesn't go the way that I planned it, or, you know, and not even faking it, like really living it, not even being like, okay, I'm down on myself, but I'm going to put it away so I can play with my son for a few hours before bed. And then I'm going to be down on myself, like really living the, like, okay, close the chapter on today and be in a good mood and be with my family and move on to tomorrow. Like that, I feel like is almost more difficult than physically putting down the barbell and walking away from it.
Oh, 100%. I mean, and that's like, I mean, kids do weird shit, man. Like, just
Totally
having
weird.
just having one changes, like it changes your perspective in ways that, like, you know, everybody says it. It sounds really cliche. If you don't have kids, you're gonna be like, oh, another idiot saying kids.
Yes,
Like,
I know. I said the same thing. I said that even when I was
100%.
pregnant, I was like, yeah, right. Y'all don't know. Y'all
Yeah.
bitches don't know me. Yes, they
But
do.
yeah, I mean,
Everyone was right. Everything I said was wrong. Everyone was right.
yeah, but I mean, 100%. It's like, it's very true, and like, it changed. You know, like, I don't think I could ever have like, I don't know if I ever would have reached that perspective if we didn't have a family. Like, I honestly can't say with any kind of certainty. Like, I don't know if I would have been able to get to that point where like I could be content with the outcome regardless, because I was happy with the way that I got there. Like, I've always been very process oriented, you know, like, it's part of being an athlete is like, you know, kind of surrendering outcomes to a certain extent. But like, I feel like I did it, but there was always that little, like, there was that little nag still that you kind of like just squelched and tried to deal with slowly. Whereas like now it feels a little bit more kind of like genuine and easy, just because again, it's like, it really does. Again, it really is just a part of it's a part of me, and it's a much smaller part of who I am and like what I hope my legacy will be than like, you know, who I am, like who I am as a father, who I am as a husband, and kind of like how Wes sees me in 10, 15, 20, 30 years, you know, like that's way more important. So like CrossFit, you know, I think I see it more now, like even the competition side of it, more as like an outlet to try and live out values that I want Wes to have than anything. Like the fact that like, you know, dedication to a task, like, you know, being able to, again, be process oriented. Like, you know, these are things that I think, you know, just having passion for something, like finding, you know, taking risks and trying to pursue something that seems frankly kind of maybe statistically very stupid and slim, like, but it's okay if you're like willing to, you know, if you're willing to put in the time and be focused on getting there, like it's okay to do those things.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I said, I kind of see this journey now as like more of a, I guess, hopefully a very real life teaching tool for Wes one day, and for myself. Shit, I mean, I've learned more about myself in the last 2 years than I have in the last 30 before that. So
Yes, relatable.
I love that.
Crazy.
I love it so much. When my dad, when I was little, 10, like between 10 and 12, my dad was a pro bass fisherman and fished every tournament you can imagine. It was really good, by the way. And he was in this, like, you know, this club, and every year he'd win first place every year. And I was home when I think it was maybe sometime after college. I might have even been married at the time. And my mom had all my dad's trophies out and all his awards he had won. And I'm looking at him, and there's a gap, about a 5-year gap where he didn't win a damn thing. Like nothing. It's literally like first, nothing for like 5 years. And then back to first. And I'm like, Mom, what the hell happened to Dad? Like, why did he start losing? She's like, John, he didn't lose. That's when he quit fishing to take you. And what you're describing, your son's going to see someday that, you know, Dad was super dedicated to winning the CrossFit games, but not at the expense of this family. And that's really cool. Like really
I appreciate that, man. That's a really cool, I mean, I hope all parents are like that. I know they're not, but I mean, like, obviously, like, that's the kind of, I mean, yeah, I'm very lucky to have incredible parents. Like, you know, I have had and have a great relationship with them. So it's like, I know how much it means, like, to have an upbringing that, like, you were put first, and, like, you know, like, there was a lot of attention put into, like, you and what you're taught and, like, the lessons that you learn and things. Like, I know how important that is. Like, I can see it now much better than I could, like, even 3, 4, 5 years ago. I appreciated it then, but, like, now I appreciate it even more. And again, that's what it's all about for me. So I mean, I'm hoping that, yeah.
Well,
I hope that's
you still had a hell of a games competition, and
Yeah, seriously. We're out here talking like you didn't even make it. Like, you crushed it this year.
and arguably, I think probably the most stacked men's field we've seen in years. I mean, this was a stacked field.
Yeah, that was easy. I mean, that was hands down. And I was telling Caitlin, my coach, like, literally, like, right when the games wrapped up, it's like, I feel like I should be a little bit more frustrated about finishing 23rd, but I'm like, you're looking at the guys around you and the guys ahead of you, and you're like, shit, man. Like, it was just deep. Like, you know, even our workouts, I thought I executed really well. It's like, I finished 9th, and I'm like, what the hell? Like, I felt like I smashed that out of the park, and I finished 9th. And, like, granted, there's always those experiences at the games because it's like, obviously it's harder than any semifinal. The fields are deeper, all that. Yeah. But, like, this year, definitely, I think more than any other, felt like the men's field was stacked. I mean, it was top to bottom. I mean, just a phenomenal competition. So yeah, I mean, I'm like you said, I don't say any of this, like, you know, not being proud of where I finished. Like, I'm very, like, you know, yeah, of course I want to do better. Like, I don't do this to not do better than 23rd, but at the end of the day, like, it's a competition, and, like, there are winners and losers, and there are guys in the middle, and, like, that's how it works.
Right. And then also, you're 23rd fittest in the entire world.
Exactly.
Holy shit. That's a big deal. That's a big deal.
Very big deal. Very, very big deal. So you said one more year. Is that it? You're going to one more and you're going to walk away from this?
Yeah, that's it. I'm putting a hard line on myself because, I mean, you know, Caitlin would never ever tell me to stop. Like, you know, no matter how stressful it got, no matter how much it kind of took some wear and tear on stress, family, work schedules, all that stuff. Like, she would never tell me to stop because she knows how much I love it. She knows, like, how much it just kind of drives me and fires me up. Like, I love competing. I love the process of training. I love getting out on the floor. You know, it's a huge passion of mine. So for me, it's like, but I can see, like, the further along Wes gets, wanting to have another kid at some point, like, there's just going to come a point where, like, I just want to not put that load on them anymore. And because like, it just feels, again, personally, this is not like me, like, projecting on my wife or anything. It just feels like such an ask. Like I know how much it takes out of her and out of our schedule, and, like, having to be like, okay, every spring, you know, there's a 3-week block for the open, and then there's quarterfinals, and then 5 weeks later there's semifinals, and we're planning travel. Like, you know, it's just, the season takes so much freedom out of your life and just, like, kind of out of your existence that I wouldn't trade it. You know, like, I wouldn't trade everything I've done, but, like, at some point we have to just, I guess, move on. You know, like at the end of the day, I don't want to put that load on them anymore, and I want to, like, free up our lives a little bit. You know, like, I mean, like, frankly, you know, I feel like I'm fitter this year than I was last year. You know, like, I'm 32 years old. I'm fitter than I've ever been. So it's like, it's not that I'm getting older and I can't compete anymore. I'm like, there is definitely a piece of me that would like to ride this until the wheels fall off, just to see how long I can keep it going. But that's not fair to my family. Like, just to keep doing it for that personal drive, I don't think is quite fair. It just doesn't feel right. So, I mean, for me, like, this is my last all in year. We're going, like, balls to the wall, every single thing, no stone unturned for one more year. And then we're going to take a little break, and it's going to be really nice. And then you can bet your ass I'll be back for Masters. So,
and I was going to say, it's not like CrossFit's ever going to be gone from your life. Like, you own an affiliate, you know, I bet you anything, if you just do the, like, 1 to 2 hours a day of training, and I wonder what's going to happen in the open, you probably will surprise yourself.
Oh no, I mean, and that's, for me, frankly, like, that's, you know, kind of like, this is the last year where I'm all in, where it's like, you know, I'm like, there's going to be a lot of, you know, there's going to be sacrifices made, things like that, to to very purposefully get back to the games and perform at my peak. After that, you know, like, again, it's just like training is it's gonna take a backseat. You know, I'm still gonna train. Like I own an affiliate. I'm going to the gym every day. Like, and I love it. I love training. I'm never gonna not train. Like, it's one day it will turn to exercise. It won't, you know, won't be training. It will be exercise.
Someday.
But yes, I mean, like, but I'm definitely like, you know, there will be a year like 2034. I'll be 34, and I'm gonna like, that's my, like, you know, we're not training, we're not living our lives with the focus and the intent of the games year round. And then, I mean, yeah, 2035, I'll be in the masters category. So, I mean, I'm hoping, and this is maybe naive, I can talk to some of my buddies in that category now, but like, I'm hoping that, you know, it's a lifestyle balance where like 9 months out of the year, you can just work out for like an hour and a half. And then for a short period, you can ramp up a little bit, and you can, you know, like do the online semifinals games, like, so that it's a much smaller piece of the year. And it's like, okay, most of the year it's cool. Like, we're good. Life is actually balanced, not this kind of weird athlete balance where it's not actually balanced, but it's as balanced as you can get it. So I'm hoping that that's what it's like, but that's what I'm going to treat it as. And again, if it you know, hopefully it gets me to the games in the masters category. If it doesn't, again, I'm not going to lose any sleep over it, but I'll never be done with CrossFit. It's my life.
I'll be so curious to see, because that especially that 35 to 39 division is just, it's scary.
Oh,
like, it's really competitive. Truly.
Yeah. I mean, and in the next couple of years, I mean, again, by the time I'm 35, I'm like, shit, Pat's probably going to be in there.
Yep.
You know, like all these guys that are like, you know, they're podium contenders in the individual division up until they're 32, 3, 4. Like, yeah. So, I mean, it could get wild, and I could be very off base. It's very possible. I'm fully ready to admit that. But again, like, that's, you know, like, I'll never stop doing CrossFit, you know, and I'll never stop, like, you know, I'll never stop competing, because again, I love it. It's fun. It drives me. It excites me. It's, you know, it's something I'm passionate about, but it will never occupy my life the way that it does now and has for the last basically decade, you know, like since basically 2013. So yeah, 2023 will be the last year where it occupies my life to the point where it, you know, it detracts from many other things. I mean, that's for a lot of reasons. Like, you know, I want to get back in our affiliate more. I want to coach more. Like, you know, like I want to be there more, and like not there training. Like, I want to be there, like mentally present there. You know, so like there's a lot of things like that I'm excited for once competition ends as well, which makes it, I guess, a little bit easier to step away. I say that now, but you know, we'll see how I feel in 12 months.
You also get to look forward to, I guess it'd be around 2035 or 36 of ramping Wes up for the 15-year-old division at the games.
Oh my God.
We got, I mean, hey, the kid's in gymnastics now. We started soccer last weekend. So he's starting to do some of those cool, like, you know, man, that shit is fun. That is like, especially for like, well, first off, Kate is so proud to be a soccer mom, because she grew up, she played soccer in college. Like, soccer was always her sport. So like, he started soccer last weekend. So she was like out on the field with him running around, like parents have to be with him. And she was cloud nine. She was so excited. And then and then he had gymnastics on Monday, and like, you know, going to be there with him, and like, obviously gymnastics in a very bastardized sense is a part of my life through CrossFit. So it's cool. Like, you know, he's like, they're trying to teach him how to do somersaults, and they're doing all sorts of like hanging from bars. And like, granted, we do that stuff for fun, like just he and I at the gym in the basement. Like, he loves doing muscle ups, you know, like he likes when dad picks him up, puts him over the bar. So like, he's into it. So like, seeing him in the gym, like bouncing around on the trampolines and like trying to learn that stuff, it's super cool, because especially now, like pseudo selfishly, I'm like, that stuff is so good for you, dude. Like, no matter what you do in your life, as long as you don't hate it and as long as you're cool with it, I want you to do gymnastics as long as possible. Because body control and body awareness, it doesn't matter what sport you want to do. Like, you can go swim, you can go golf, you can play whatever the heck you decide to do. Basic body awareness goes a long way.
Tim, I'm looking in a mirror, truly. And I've said this on the podcast before, but the second Hunter can walk, we are putting him in gymnastics, because there is no better foundation for body awareness or athleticism outside of gymnastics. And like you said, as long as he loves it, and as long as he wants to do it, and as long as it's fun, the stuff that comes with it, because any other really niche kind of sport that teaches you how to be strong and how to be physically aware and how many whatever comes with like a lot of hangups. Like I did dance and like my legs were strong and my core was strong and my posture was good, but like my brain is totally fucked up. So like that's the plan, is like the second he come up, because he's been in swim since he was like 8 months.
Yeah,
9
West did
months
swim
maybe?
right around the same time.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And dude, and John, I have to send you this video. I can't believe I haven't sent it to you yet, but it was last weekend or 2 weekends ago, where they do the thing where you kind of like push them into the pool, but then you
Video.
show them how to get to the edge, and they hold on to the edge, because swim at this stage is just about survival.
Yeah.
So Matt was like, okay, ready? Here we go. And Hunter just launched himself in. Like,
Oh
no,
my God.
he didn't touch him. He didn't guide him in. He didn't push him into anything. He was just like, bloop. And it was like, it's like a burrito, just like flopping into the water. And then he came right around him and put his hands on the edge and popped right up. And I was like, you are 12 months old.
That's awesome.
What are you doing? That is crazy.
Nailed it. No,
Nailed.
it's awesome. Stuff like that. Yeah. I mean, there are like, obviously being athletic parents, like there are certain things that like I will definitely encourage him to do as long as he likes them. Like, and swimming's another one of them, because it's like,
So
there are
good
these
for you.
certain things that are just like being so engrossed in fitness all the time, like whether from a coaching standpoint of my affiliate, whether as an athlete, like there are just certain things that are good for you as a human. And like learning how to swim is one of them. Learning basic body awareness is another one. And frankly, that's basically it, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, there are other things. Like, yeah, you need to learn how to do other things as well. But like, if you can learn how to do those two things, like if you can learn how to be buoyant in water, if you can learn how to breathe in water, breathe in control, and you can learn how to move your body through space, if you can do that for a good piece of your childhood, you can go be phenomenal at whatever else you want, and you'll pick it up probably really quickly.
It's true.
So
You know what I would add to that one other thing is language. I think starting to learn, not physical. You're right. Totally. Chug a beer probably is also another good life skill to have, but not when you're a baby. But yeah, I think also it's so much easier to learn another language when you're like little. But anyway.
Yeah. No, my sister's fluent in Spanish, so I know that there's somewhere in our DNA there is a language gene. It just seems to have completely skipped over this. Yeah, I took Spanish in high school and I learned like 7 words, and I don't remember many of them. So that's another thing I would love for him to try.
I'm pretty sure your heritage is Viking anyway, so you guys were probably just conquering and making them assimilate your language anyway. So
exactly, that's what I'm going for. That's the lineage.
Yeah. Well, listen, Tim, we don't want to take up too much time away from your family. It's so good to catch up with you.
Yeah, dude, so fun.
And I hate we didn't get to talk about your dad some, because we love your mom and dad so much.
I was gonna say we didn't even talk about your parents. I think you, and this is probably gonna land me some hate DMs, but I think that you might have our favorite parents of like any athlete.
They're way up there. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah,
they are. No, they're awesome. I mean, I can't rave about them enough. You know, there's both my parents and Kate's parents are super involved in Wes's life, and like that's obviously like crazy cool to see. Just like, you know, have him grow up in that like environment with like, you know, really supportive parents and grandparents. Like, so yeah, my parents are fantastic. We're going down. We're leaving tomorrow. My sister's bridal shower is tomorrow, so Kate's going to that. I'm going to go back with Wes, and one of my buddies, his daughter's 3-year birthday party is the afternoon, so we'll have ourselves a busy little weekend down in Pennsylvania. But
please tell them that we say hi. Please.
I'm sure they'll be tuning in. I'm sure they've probably listened to part of this, if I had to guess.
Yeah, probably.
Hope so.
Probably. Well, listen, if we don't get down to Austin, good luck at the Rogue.
Yeah.
Sure.
Thank you, guys.
I'm thinking I might try to get there though. I need to get there.
Hey, so why not? I see you got a bunch of guitars back there. I mean, hey man, Austin's a music city. Why not?
The guitars don't travel well, though. That's the problem. They do not travel well. And not to mention, if I go to a good music city, I'll probably find one and want to bring it back with me, and that's not good either.
That's true. You can order it, ship it right to your house.
I almost ordered one this week. That's a different story for a different podcast.
There's some more space on that wall. I think I see one spot for one more, maybe.
Yeah.
I have 3 spots set aside. I've only got 12 in here, Tim, so I need at least 3 more. Be good.
For an even 15.
Yeah, that's what you need. I need more guitars than I have CrossFit shoes, and right now I have 1 more pair of CrossFit shoes than I do guitars. So
the balance is off.
Amazing.
The balance is off. Balance is
It's too
definitely
many.
off.
It's
Yeah.
okay. I've probably got
All right.
30 pairs of CrossFit shoes. So
Yeah, well, you actually use them. That's the difference.
Well, yes, there's that.
That is the difference. All right. Well, thanks again, man. We really appreciate it. And Nikki, I know you got baby stuff to do too. So
Still, I'm gonna go put that little rascal down for bed.
I'm
All right,
hoping
well-
Wes is asleep with Caitlin right now, but we'll see if she's managed to get him down yet.
well, go give that little boy a kiss on the cheek either way.
I will.
All right. Thanks, guys. And for everyone listening, we appreciate you guys joining us. And we will be